Yes, and there's a huge difference between cash flow and wealth, right? And when we talk about wealth, we talk about what people always mention, and the better term is called generational wealth, right?
Mhm.
How can we make our money work for ourselves without having to work for it?
Welcome to Biz Help for You, the show that saves you the expensive learning curve by providing advice from industry experts in every facet of the entrepreneurial journey. Too many small businesses collapse. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, 20% fail within their first year, and less than 35% make it to their 10th anniversary. The goal of this podcast is to change that statistic. So if you're interested in learning more to be a successful entrepreneur, tune in today.
Now, let me tell you a little bit about my guest today. Edwin Carrion is a self-made millionaire devoted to his family, an accomplished investor, and a dedicated mentor. Over his career, he's established numerous multi-million-dollar companies spanning real estate development, precious metals, transportation and logistics, investments, and business education and consulting. With over 2 decades of experience in various industries, Edwin now channels his passion for entrepreneurship into training and mentoring others. His mission stems from the realization that many individuals don't lead fulfilling lives because they believe success comes at the expense of family, work-life balance, or their core values. Edwin is committed to guiding people on a path to a truly fulfilled life, emphasizing the importance of balance across all aspects. You can benefit from his wisdom and mentorship in achieving both financial success and a harmonious, value-driven life. So, Edwin, welcome to the show.
Candy, good morning. Thank you for having me here today. And to everyone listening, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever part of the world you're in. Stay tuned for an amazing show today. And at the end, I'm going to give you a free gift that I only give to my paid clients.
Oh, nice. Well, before we get into questions I have for you on the topic, I'd love for you to share your story of how did you become a self-made millionaire?
Well, thank you for that, but I do not call myself a self-made millionaire. I took that title out many, many years ago, and now I call myself a God-made millionaire because I
Nice.
truly believe I understand that you cannot achieve success by yourself. So there's no such a thing as self-made because it takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of mentors, a lot of the right people to help you get to the top. So when I realized that early on my stage of entrepreneurship, I kind of X'd that title out and I never used it again after that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, I agree with you on that too. I mean, there are, people that help us along the way. And of course, if you believe that there is a God that will, help us, I am a person of faith as well. So I believe the same thing, that, he can guide us on our path. But, what is it that brought you into entrepreneurship in the first place?
There's 2 ways that you get into entrepreneurship. The first way is that, you stumble upon by luck. And the other one is that you were born with that gift of wanting to do things on your own and kind of like being out of the box. To me, it was that type of person. I was the type of person that was born to be an entrepreneur because since I was very little, I was always being a hustler, trying to sell whatever I can to make a little bit of money here and there. But what really got my entrepreneurship journey started was when I left the Marine Corps and I got into real estate development.
Okay. So you decided real estate is the way to go. Did you decide first to actually become a realtor too and help others? Or were you just investing for yourself to find some properties that would generate revenue for you?
It was funny enough that I didn't decide any of that. Just before me getting out of the Marine Corps, I didn't know what I wanted to do, just like a lot of kids that are 22 years old don't know what they want to do. And my mom goes, "You should become a developer." And I'm like, "What is that?" I had no idea what that was. And she's like, "Put it very simple. Buy land, build houses, sell them." I'm like, "Oh my God, this is so awesome. So simple business, right?" So that's what really got me into the path of a real estate development. I never became a realtor. I actually did become a general contractor once I was building the homes because I wanted to make sure that my company had the license to be able to build our own projects. But besides that, I've always been a developer since the beginning, never got into wholesaling, never got into flipping. I started from the top and I did everything else because that's where you're able to be able to do, but never kind of went from the bottom to the top.
Mm-hmm. Right. So today's topic is going to be on multiple streams of income. And maybe a lot of people don't even understand, like, what does that really mean? Like, I have a job, I have my income. What does it mean to really create multiple streams of income? So do you want to touch on that first? Because that's the core of what we're going to be talking about today.
Yes, yes. And I think it's extremely important that we create multiple streams of income, right? But before we start doing that, we have to make sure that we have enough spending cash in order to start doing that. A lot of people want to do two, three, four things at the same time. And one of the things that I realized is that when we try to do two, three, four things at the same time, nothing works, or it takes a lot longer for it to work because we're not giving that 100% attention to one thing first, then the next one, the next one. So one of the things that I learned with time is that once you become an expert at one thing and you're able to run that company with minimal supervision and maybe just let that company run by itself, then you start looking for additional sources of revenue or, diversifying, like we call it. So to me, when I went into real estate development and I knew that I have more money and I wasn't using that extra money for my real estate development companies, then you start looking at other opportunities. Okay, I'm running this company. This company is running by itself. It's making a lot of money, more money than what I need for this company. Let me go find where else can I diversify my money and start putting my eggs on that basket as well. So I could create different type of revenues. But then later on with the time, once I became a little bit wiser, I realized that every source of income has to have a different meaning for you. So for example, when I had my transportation company was my cash flow business, was the business that will give me my day-to-day cash flow for me to survive, to pay my bills and everything else. Then from there on, my real estate development business became my wealth creation vehicle. That's the business that continued creating my wealth and increasing my wealth over time. And then my business consulting and education company became my legacy business. This is the one that I was able to take entrepreneurs that are at the beginning stages and they want to get to 7, 8 figures and continue growing. And once I teach them to become successful, they're going to teach others to become successful. So to me, it became that legacy type of business and the legacy type of additional source of income that it creates income for me, but as well, I'm leaving a legacy behind.
Well, and you said one is for cash flow, one is for wealth, right? And obviously one is for legacy. So someone might be a little confused on, well, what's the difference between cash flow and wealth? Because isn't cash flow increasing your wealth? So do you want to touch on what you mean by that?
Yes, and there's a huge difference between cash flow and wealth, right? And when we talk about wealth, we talk about what people always mention, and the better term is called generational wealth, right? How can we make our money work for ourselves without having to work for it? So when we start looking at those things, like in my cash flow business, I'm an active worker. I'm always constantly working on that business, making sure that business is growing, making sure it's making me money. With the excess money that I have, I put that into different buckets that is going to create money for me, not at the speed that I'm going to create it on my own, but it's going to continue creating that wealth and increasing that money's value by compound, but without me having to do a lot of the work. So for example, when I have my transportation company, the cash flow, the money keeps coming in every day. And the excess money, I put that into creating wealth, which is in real estate, that the real estate is not going to accumulate as fast unless I'm building a real estate development project, but over time is accumulating. So I'm putting my eggs in a separate basket that is not taking time away from me. It's not taking a lot of effort away from me. I'm putting that money in my retirement accounts with my financial advisor, where he's trading, he's doing the work, but he's getting me a yield on that money, and that money continues to grow. So that means now that I'm living off my cash flow business, eventually I'm going to live off my wealth, and the cash flow is going to be just money for me to continue spending into whatever things I want, into, unnecessary things.
So if someone's listening, they're saying, okay, well, I understand having, multiple streams of income is good, but I'm not even sure how to identify what might be a good opportunity for me. Do you have any tips on how they could get started figuring out what that might be, their first foray into having a multiple stream of income?
Yes. And I think the first thing is what you just said a minute ago. It's getting started. That is the
Mhm.
hardest part of people getting started. I was very fortunate enough and very lucky enough that I started at a young age, investing into different sources of income. And I started building the habit of putting money away for rainy days or for whatever it could happen, right? So it's the point of getting started. Doesn't matter what it is. If you have extra money, put money on something that is very safe,
Mhm.
something that you know that you're not going to lose a lot. And if you were to lose a little bit, you don't have to say, oh my God, I need to take this out because I don't want to continue losing money. To me, I always think of it like as a gamble, right? Why would I gamble
Right.
my money on that I don't care to lose that money? And I
Mhm.
continue looking for things like that and putting them in there. And with time, my risk tolerance will increase. And for me,
Mhm.
for example, my risk tolerance increases the more that I invest. If I start putting money and start making, 5% a year, then I become comfortable with that. Then I realize, okay, let me take a little bit more of a gamble and let me find something that's going to give me a 7%, 10%, 30%, 50%. But depends, the more you risk, the higher the risk, the higher the reward. Everybody understands that. But
Right.
maybe I'm not ready for that risk yet. So instead of putting all this money into the high risk, I'll take a little bit, a small percentage of that, and I'll put that into a high risk, high reward asset. That once I take that asset, I will bring in my original investment and I'll continue risking really high the profits from that.
Mhm.
But the
Right.
beginning, to answer the question, is getting started. Start putting maybe $10 a day, $5 a day into something very minimal. So you start building that daily habit of putting something into an additional source of income that eventually with time is going to grow over compounding and it's going to give you a lot of money in the future.
Right. So it sounds, you're talking about investing, whether, that's in the stock market or, whatever that vehicle they might use, just to get started on that. But someone might be also thinking like, well, multiple stream of income for me could be a side hustle, right? And so
Yes.
maybe I'm doing, a company that has a product that I can sell, or maybe I become a driver, or doing those kind of things too. So do you recommend that as a multiple stream of income as well? Or are you focused more on things that you're investing in financially rather than what takes your time?
No, there's two things. You either trade time for money or you figure out how to make your money work for you. If you're at
Mhm.
the beginning stages, when we're young, when we're not at savvy investors, one of the best things that we're able to do is trade time for money. And as we're trading that time for money, we start learning a new skill that eventually we can leverage that skill and then make it automated. So like that, and now instead of us trading the time for the money, that skill is converting itself and is working for us consistently, right? So on the example that you put driving for somebody working Uber, right? So at the
Mhm.
beginning, yes, I might go out there and start driving Uber to understand how the system works, how the platform works, how the money works. But eventually, once I become an expert at how Uber works and how the platform works and everything else, one of the things that I will do is, okay, let me go out and buy 2, 3 cars and give these 3 cars to other people that can afford a car. So like
Mhm.
that, they're able to work on it. And then I'll take a percentage of that profit. So
Mhm.
if making $100 a day clean, I'll ask him to give me maybe $20, 20%, 30% after I pay all my expenses. So that's what
Right.
I'm talking about. It's like sometimes, yes, we have to trade the time for the money, but eventually we realize, okay, how can I scale this? How can I take this to the next level?
Right. So if someone is listening now, you said earlier to, higher risk, higher reward, but higher risk also could be a greater loss, right? So how does someone kind of balance the risk and rewards and potential loss if for one, they're, just getting started, or number two, maybe they're nervous about what it's going to, be like when things happen on the negative side, because the positive side, we're always happy, right?
Yes.
When that negative comes, which does happen, right? We have cycles in our economy, what do you recommend to the person who's a little bit nervous about that?
Yes. Look, we're always going to be nervous. I'm always nervous whenever I make a big investment. Like right now, I'm in the process of building a $5 million townhouse project. And I'm nervous about it because it's a huge gamble right now with everything that's going on and the construction costs being really high.
Mhm.
I'm really very, very, very detailed and very focused into making sure the numbers work. And it doesn't matter how much I plan for it, things could go south, things could go bad. So what is going to be my exit strategy, right? My exit strategy is going to be, okay, I'm going to lose maybe 20, 30% of my investment. But if I hold on to it, if I'm not over leveraged and I'm able to hold on to it for the next 3-5 years, the cycle is going to shift again. And then I'm going to be on the break even on the positive side. So always expecting worst case scenario. When we think about investing and putting our money somewhere else, we have to think about, okay, is this money that I could afford to lose? Especially if we're looking at a high risk, high reward type of scenario, right? Is this money that I'm willing to lose? And if I'm okay of parting with that money, of losing that money, then it doesn't matter if I lose it because I know that I was already prepared for that since the beginning. But if I'm putting money that I need to survive, I'm putting money that is going to be for my retirement, I'm taking money that I don't want to lose, I'm putting it into something high risk, then I'm making the wrong investment decision because I'm putting something that I don't want to do into, and then normally that fears kicks in and you're always going to be worried about it. So in order for you not to worry about it, it's like, okay, if I'm willing to lose this, let me just throw it here. If I don't want to lose this money, then let me just put it here where it's going to be really safe. Maybe it's going to give me a 2-3% return on investment. But I know that nothing is guaranteed, right? Because we all know it. I mean, COVID came out of nowhere and there's a lot of people that lost a lot. But the one thing that maybe I want to leave all the listeners with today is that I made millions of dollars during a good economy and during a recession. So there's always an opportunity. It doesn't matter where the market is. The market doesn't dictate the opportunities that we have. We dictate the opportunities that we take. So it's always searching for those right opportunities, whether we're in a recession or whether there's a good market. When we're in a recession, there's a huge transfer of generational wealth. There's a huge transfer of money, of things that you could take advantage of. You could buy $30,000 watches for $5,000. You could buy $100,000 cars for $5,000. And if you're able to take advantage of those opportunities, as soon as the market shifts, you're going to be in a good position.
So someone listening might say, well, that sounds like a great idea, finding this watch and, buying it low and selling it high, or the same thing for the car. But how do I even find those opportunities?
How do you find opportunities? Again, becoming aware and learning about certain things, right? Finding a niche. So, for example, I've been in 22 years in business, and there's things that I like. For example, I like cars. And at the beginning, I understood that cars were liabilities because that's what we're taught to know, right? Cars is a liability. With time, I understood and I learned that my cars can become my assets. So instead of having $100,000 sitting on the bank doing nothing, I take those $100,000, I go and buy me an exotic car, make sure that I find one that is well taken care of, very low miles, that it went through the depreciation curve. And I take the car and I drive it for like around 12 months to 18 months. And when I sell it, maybe my loss is at 10%. But that car brought me a lot of attention, brought me a lot of connections, and brought me some people that I could do business with. So, when I'm driving a Lamborghini, when I'm driving a McLaren, a Bentley, any of those nice exotic cars. As far as watches, I always wanted to wear watches. I like nice watches. And my first watch that I really spent a lot of money on was a Hublot. It was an $8,000 watch, but it was like this beautiful watch, a skeleton face that I really love. Actually, it's not here right now. But I knew that I bought it right because I didn't buy it brand new. I bought it used. And right now that watch is worth $10,000. So I had that watch since 2017. I worn it pretty much it's like my daily watch, and it has gone up in value $2,000. So that's what I'm talking about, like finding those opportunities and things that you personally like. There's a lot of things that we could buy that we like that could make us money, little money here and there. We just have to find what our passion is, what we like.
Well, and I think that's important too, because I think sometimes people are thinking, well, let me find that opportunity out there, whatever it is, it's going to bring the money, but it might not even be something they enjoy. So I think you saying like find the opportunities in the areas that you have a passion for is important, because that way you're going to want to continue doing it, even if the times get tough.
Right. And let me share one last one. Like one of the biggest one, especially in today's age, right? We're technology-based world right now. Everything is technology. So one of the biggest places where people could leverage is leveraging other people's assets. So what do I mean by that? So for example, I'm a course creator. I teach entrepreneurs how to scale their business. I teach entrepreneurs how to scale their companies. But a lot of times there's other entrepreneurs that don't have the knowledge that I have, but they know people that they need my knowledge. So what do? Is they come and they sell my programs for me and they make a percentage of that. Now you're taking advantage of somebody else's expertise and you're selling that product to other people that you know, and you're still making a profit out of it. So you don't have to go out there and create your own programs, create your own courses or things to sell. Is find other things that people want, that you're able to leverage that and become an affiliate or maybe sell their programs and reach out to people like me. Hey, Edwin, can I sell your programs? I have quite a few entrepreneurs that do these things and they make a lot of money doing that, going and selling my services for me. And because they have gone through maybe my programs or they know who I am, and not just me, but other people as well. There's people that are selling, how to do ChatGPT right now, the best prompts for ChatGPT. I don't need to know anything about ChatGPT. I just need to go to that person and say, hey, I'm going to include your programs, your services, your products within my services, and I'm going to get a commission out of it. Now I'm already taking advantage of something that I'm doing day in and day out, and I start making money without having to create something from scratch.
Right. Well, and that's a great example of passive income, correct? Where a lot of people too maybe not have heard that word, before, that term. So do you want to maybe explain what passive income really is? You gave an example maybe of that, but maybe someone still doesn't really understand. So, what is passive income and how is that helpful in creating multiple income streams as well?
Yeah, honey, I always said there's no such a thing as passive income because at the end of the day, you're still probably going to have to maybe put that check in your bank or go into your bank account and look at it. But pretty much passive income, we talked about this since the beginning, is having your money work for you without you working for your money. I have so much experience in real estate that sometimes I might not be able to do all these real estate projects that I want. So what do? I invest my capital with some of my students. I invest my capital with other people that I know that are doing amazing projects, and they do all the hard work, and my money grows by me putting my money there. So that's called passive income, meaning that your money is working for you versus you working for your money. And the ultimate goal of all of this is getting to a point where you're able to live off your passive income. You're able to live off your investments. So it pays for you day-to-day things that you have.
Right. Well, and some of the things that we've been talking about, really anyone could do, whether they're, working a 9-to-5 job or maybe they're an entrepreneur. But a lot of people who are listening to the show are entrepreneurs running a business already. And so they might say, well, this sounds great, but I'm so busy already working my, job that I'm trying to build, as an entrepreneur. So maybe can you give some tips on how they can manage that as well as look for these other opportunities so they can have those additional income streams?
Yes. Again, best thing I recommend is always look into what is it that you're doing right now. And to put that as an example is that when I own a transportation company, I own the trucks. And what did I do? There's people that wanted to get into the transportation company. And what we did was we leased the trucks out to them. So now we're getting paid, and that becomes passive income because we're leasing the trucks out to somebody. We're putting our money to work without having to do the work, buying the truck, maybe getting a driver into it. So we're giving opportunities to other people to scale. But at the same time, we are creating a return on investment without having to work for it. A lot of my students own companies. A lot of my students, they're entrepreneurs that they want to continue scaling their businesses, taking it to 7-8 figures. What do I do with them? After I go through the process and the program and I teach them everything that I need to teach them, I invest my own capital with them because I know that they're going to scale their business. I know that they're going to do a development project. I know that they're going to grow their company. So that means that my money is going to grow with them because now I have an interest with them.
Right. Well, and I think too, we all, as entrepreneurs, are always looking for opportunities to have other ways, to bring in revenue. And, I'm also trying to help entrepreneurs, run their companies so efficiently that they can step away, which is what you're saying, like have your company be able to run where you're not having to be involved in the day to day. It's still providing the cash that you need. You could take that extra cash right? And use that for these other opportunities that come along. So I think it also comes back to, as the entrepreneur, looking at how you can have your business run efficiently without you, so that you can look for these other opportunities and have time to invest, even if, like you said, not everything that supposedly people say is passive is really passive, because it may take some time, to invest. So, any final takeaway maybe on that aspect of it?
Yeah, the final takeaway is start investing, take action since the beginning, build that habit, because that habit little by little is going to compound, and then you're going to increase your risk tolerance, your investment tolerance, and opportunities start coming to you. One of the things that I learned early on was that when we open ourselves up for opportunities, the opportunity starts coming to ourselves. If we're closed-minded, if we don't want to put our money anywhere, we're not going to see those opportunities that might be right in front of us. And one of those opportunities might be your $1 million ticket, or might be your way to the financial freedom that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Well, I know we are coming close to the time that we have together, so I wanted to ask if you have an offer. I do know that you hinted at the beginning that you have something that you want to share. So do you want to tell us what that is?
Yes. I don't have any offers. The one thing that I'm going to do is, because I really appreciate you having me here, and I really appreciate your audience listening to this, and I love for everybody to learn. So one of the things that I'm doing is that I'm going to give away something that I only give to my pay clients, that they're entrepreneurs, and it's called the Startup Business Super Stack. It's a list of guides of how to create the perfect business plan, how to create the right mentality, how to scale your business. It's a bunch of guides that I put together only for my pay clients. So go ahead to my social media, Edwin Carrion 78, DM me the word Candy24, and you will get that free gift.
Perfect. So you just gave that one way that they can contact you. Do you want them to find you any other way, maybe to connect on other platforms, or is that the main one you prefer?
All my social media channels, I'm everywhere, but the name is spelled the same in everywhere, Edwin Carrion 78. Or you go to my website, edwincarrion.com. And if you need anything, just go ahead and ask. One of the things that my mentor taught me was that to become an ask hole, to always ask. If you don't ask, you're never going to get an answer. So just ask. And sometimes, you might think that people like myself, or people that are at a higher level, we're not able to reach them. And all it takes is one message, and you'll get a reply from somebody.
Nice. Well, thank you, Edwin, for being a guest on my show and, talking on this topic. I really appreciate it. And I enjoyed the chat that we had.
Thank you for having me, Candy. Have a blessed day. And to everybody listening, if you don't know where you're going, you will eventually get there.
Right. Oh, that was a great tip. So, and to you, the listener, I hope you found this topic enjoyable. And if you want to hear additional information, you can find access to exclusive content in the show notes.
Thank you for tuning in today. Would you please share this episode with those you know and leave a review on your favorite platform? And if you find our show informative, would you consider being a financial sponsor to help me continue my mission to educate business owners? A link is located in the episode description, and no amount is too small. I'd really appreciate your support. If you are interested in connecting with our guests and receiving the offer they had to share, a link to our resource page is in the show notes. Finally, if you have any bookkeeping or payroll needs, reach out to us at 310-534-5577 or contact@abandp.com. My team and I are eager to assist you. Until next time, have a great day.
Thank you for listening to Biz Help for You. Please join your host, Candy Messer, again next time. Have a terrific day.